former Eskom CEO, Ruyter, has refused to reveal the name of the minister he alleged was corrupt and looting Eskom. Ruyter says this is due to the ongoing criminal investigation into the matter. He says the focus should be on the continued corruption at the struggling power utility. He's maintained that he complied with the law in exposing graft at Eskom. Ruyter appeared before Parliament's public accounts watchdog, SCOPA, following an explosive television interview where he made damning allegations. He's also claimed that the cash-strapped parastatal was losing around R1 billion a month due to theft. Okay, I believe Athi Mtongana is standing by to give us more detail or a debrief of sorts, if you will, following his appearance, and even some committee members getting frustrated that they're not really getting much information from Ruyter. Good afternoon, Athi.
Good afternoon, Dudu. Yes, the former CEO to the power utility, Ruyter, has stuck to his guns, refusing to disclose the name of a senior ranking politician, whether that person is still in cabinet, whether that person is in government. He did not want to disclose the details surrounding particularly the name of the person he alluded to in that explosive interview. Now, you may recall that Minister Pravin Gordhan was mentioned, especially right after that interview, to an extent where our colleague Govan Whittles had an interview with the Minister of Public Enterprises, Pravin Gordhan. And in fact, today, the former CEO accusing Mr. Pravin Gordhan of often interfering and challenging him in as far as his role as the accounting officer of the power utility. The MPs were quite frustrated, to say the least, especially those from the ANC benches, surprisingly, because they are the ones who voted against the motion that would probe the happenings at the power utility. Beki Hadebe, you will recall, is the one that penned a letter to the chairperson asking that Ruyter be called before the committee. And so he was very frustrated because he was the one who asked the first questions around who are these ministers, who is this minister, or who is the senior ranking politician that he pointed out to in that interview that is obviously connected to corruption, the organized crime activities within the power utility. He obviously referred SCOPA to law enforcement agencies, Sydney Mafumadi, as well as the Minister of Public Enterprises for further information, particularly with regards to naming those people involved in criminal activities at the power utility. Let's listen to what he had to say.
The best way forward, I would suggest, is to ask Minister Gordhan and Dr. Mufamadi, because they were informed, they are aware. As you know, I am not in a position where I have immunity, and I therefore am unable to make any statement that could potentially put me at risk of any legal action, whether it be civil or criminal, because of the fact that there is already a highly litigious environment that has arisen around Eskom and my tenure as Chief Executive at Eskom, and I would be very loath to expose myself to any further legal action, particularly in a public forum such as this hearing.
Well, of course, again, the issue of cartels, which he spoke about in that interview, saying that there's even a presidential cartel, saying that it has no link to the presidency as far as he's aware. It's just a name that the cartels operating within Mpumalanga have actually used, and they are still operating within Mpumalanga. But he mentioned the strides that have been made insofar as some of the arrests and the prosecutions. He mentioned 43 arrests that stem from an investigation that was actually funded by private donors, which he did not want to disclose as well before the committee. He obviously is citing a lot of advice, legal advice that he has received, saying that he does not want to be subject to further litigation. And so he's still alleging that there are still cartels that are operating within Mpumalanga, criminal activities taking place where they are obviously colluding with some Eskom staff members with perpetuating the organized crime within the power utility, especially in the cold chain management in the power utilities that are obviously running coal. But I'd like us to listen to exactly what he had to say.
When I became aware of this, I brought it to the attention of the relevant authorities, and based on what I've seen, I have a good reason to believe that these cartels are in fact in existence and that they do operate within Mpumalanga, and that they do extract by various criminal practices.
Some of the MPs, as I've pointed out, were very frustrated about not receiving the kind of answers that they came in here wanting from the former CEO of Eskom, De Ruyter, where even the EFF MP, Veronica Mente, questioned whether not having these names and not having evidence and facts before them, whether all of this amounts to just gossip, because she claims that if De Ruyter knew that there were investigations by law enforcement agencies, he still went out to conduct that interview on television publicly, making these allegations about the linkage of senior political members as well as some members of the executive colluding with some of the criminals and the cartels that are literally causing the havoc that we are seeing today at the power utility, saying that he knew all about this, but yet he went into a public platform to make these allegations, and yet before Parliament he is failing to then disclose these particular details that they were looking for, especially making mention of public funds. And of course she also questioned how he did not follow up then with law enforcement agencies at the back of reporting these very damning allegations of corruption at the power utility.
Athi Mtongana, thank you very much for that comprehensive update.